That's gonna make a good sad video later on.
Posting crying selfies is not raw and real.
What is the reason for you doing that? Like, oh, I actually think I look really pretty when I cry.
First of all, worry about yourself.
Like, what the hell is wrong with people being vulnerable and showing their emotions?
Yeah, like, keep it off social media. Yeah. Keep, like, grieve in privacy. You know what you need? Call your therapist.
So today we're going to be talking about something that has been blowing up the internet for as long as I can remember. And I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. That is people crying online. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with crying online. But when you set up that camera trying to catch the perfect angle mid-sob, it's kind of questionable. And then you have the people that live stream and they end up crying. Now, whenever I hear the sentence crying online, there is that one clip that lives rent-free in my head. And I know some of y'all may have seen it. We will look at it here in a few. So grab a snack, relax, because it's going to be one heck of a ride. All right, so let's talk about the people who, before they even start crying, make sure that their camera is perfectly set up. Like, imagine going through it. You having a full-blown meltdown. And instead of just letting your tears flow, you're like, hold on, bestie. Let me grab my ring light because this is the one right here, okay? And it sounds crazy because it is. There are people who will make sure they are setting up their camera, make sure the lighting is good, because setting up your camera is one thing. But if you're intentionally putting a light somewhere just so it glows and you're trying to get the right angle of your face, like, come on. At that point, you need to ask a question that I have always asked you guys. Are you not embarrassed? Are you not ashamed? Do you have no shame? Because that is weird. I'm sorry. That is weird. I stick by that. I will stand by that until the wheels fall off, but let's keep going. Now, before we talk about the live stream meltdowns, I did set up a community tab a while ago. I think it was like at midnight. I can't remember, but you guys showed out, all right? And we're about to get into it. My post was, howdy to all my night owls. I just wanted to get your opinion. You can be 100% honest. How do you feel about people posting themselves online crying? Scenario number one is you're on live and in the process end up crying for whatever reason. Scenario number two is you set up a camera mid-cry to film yourself, edit and post. And last but truly not least, scenario number three is you cry, you film, you archive, and you never post. You act like it never happened. If you did not comment on it on the community tab, let me know down below which scenario is less cringe than the other. So the first comment comes from @Milla3360, and she says, the only way I could see someone crying online for real would be during a live stream. Everything else is pure manipulation, and even live stream crying can be fake. So I'm skeptic. Like I said, we'll get into the live streams here in a bit, and I want y'all's opinions as well. Elizabeth Armstrong 4108 said, I feel like some are looking for comfort and some are capping. @Ab007mo says, I just saw a YouTuber named Blank talking about this. It is referred to as sad fishing, which I've never heard before, when people film themselves being in a vulnerable position in order to cope with their said feelings or have eyes on them. While it is understandable, many use it as a coping mechanism. It pushes the line between your public and social life. Sometimes it's best to cry it out with someone personally close to you instead of strangers that you have no way of knowing if their intentions are actually genuine or to hurt you further. Now, when it comes to live stream tears, that is a whole nother vibe, okay? There is no time for setting up or planning because you already set it up. It's like getting hit by a train of emotions while the camera is rolling. There are no edits, no filters, just pure emotions. It's honestly like getting a front row seat to someone's therapy session, which can be awkward, can be entertaining. You can feel sympathy. It just depends on the type of person you are, honestly. I think this will be the video to define who is truly sympathetic to some extent, at least in this conversation. So here's where things get tricky when it comes to live streams. Because it's live, you know it's real, or at least mostly real. But sometimes you just have to wonder, I know I have, and ask yourself, is this genuine or are they turning on the waterworks because they know people are watching, especially especially if there's a donation link pinned in the chat. I'm sorry, I side eye every time I see that donation link, depending on what it is. But for the most part, it's usually a Cash App or a Venmo or a PayPal. And it's like, bro, are you really being genuine? And then we have the old classic. I just cried and here's the proof. They posted on social media. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The tear streaked face, red eyes, and the caption along the lines of something like, "This is real, no filter." And honestly, props to anybody brave enough to share their crying face online, because let's be real, most of us look like we've been hit by a train after a good cry. But I have heard people saying, "I love my cry face and that is why I post it." You know what? I'm not mad at it. If you think you look cute in it, sure. But some of us think otherwise, okay? I'm just gonna put it out there. This is the funny part of it though. Did they actually cry, then pause to grab their phone for a quick selfie? Or did they like cry, pull themselves together, and then think, wait, I should document this? It's like we've turned crying into a contest, and the more you're on social media, the more you understand what I mean by that. And you know what? I'll give you one thing. Sharing those vulnerable moments can be seen as powerful, all right? But when it's paired with hashtags and Instagram filter, it does make you wonder, is this for them or is it for the gram? At Color Me Ink says, "It is so weird to me. It's one thing to cry on stream when something comes up and makes you unexpectedly emotional. But to whip out your phone and record yourself or take a picture as you cry is so strange. I really don't like to cry in front of people, so it's so strange for me. I could even understand you making a video on an emotional topic and you choose not to edit your crying out. But to cry and get on TikTok or Insta is just a huge no for me." So what's the deal with all this public crying? Is it good? Is it bad? Honestly, in my opinion, it's human. I could care less. Crying is natural and sharing it can help people feel less alone. It's still funny to me, but it's human. And let's be real, sometimes it feels like the lines between a genuine cry and a performance can get a little blurry. Are we seeing real emotions, or is it just a strategy in order to get likes, followers, and maybe even a few bucks? So those of you that donate and fall for that, that is on you. But it is human. On the other hand, though, I must say, the people that complain about people crying online are the same people who are like,
"There's no vulnerability online. Everybody shows just the good parts. We want to see your real self and what you go through."
Y'all are the same people to judge people that are crying online. And yes, I still think it's funny, but it's human. It's not that big of a deal. If you don't like it, scroll up, okay? I have been feeling iffy about this whole crying, not crying. I still don't know where exactly I stand, but sometimes you can just stand in the middle and you'll be fine. Whatever the case is, it doesn't make or break somebody unless in the future you have a career and people try to pinpoint that video, digital footprints, etc. that I've talked about. Then maybe there's a problem there. But for the most part, people are going to do what people want to do. And I have learned that one way or the other. And with this topic, I'm pretty chill with it, all right? So let's get into some videos as well as more of y'all's commentary.
Ask like, why do you record yourself crying? First of all, worry about yourself. Second of all, I ain't gonna be crying forever. Gotta record the journey. Come on now. You know this.
I'm not gonna lie, you gotta record the journey is crazy. That is crazy, but I understand it. Like I said, there are people here that always complain about social media influencers not being real, and then when they are, y'all are quick to get angry that a person's recording themselves. What? You know what? There's a saying in my language, and I will translate it. It pretty much says, "You are not money. Not everybody is going to like you." And that is a motto I live by, okay? And that is probably why sometimes I find myself unhinged, unbothered by a lot of things. And sometimes I troll people because you're not gonna like everything I say, you're not gonna like everything I do, but at the end of the day, you're still watching. So hello, welcome, sit down, grab a snack, all right? Let's keep going.
If there's one thing that I will never get about women, it's the fact that they record themselves crying. And look, maybe there are men that do that too, but personally from my experience, I have never once opened the app and seen a dude just record themselves crying for sympathy and views. Like, that is not what we do. And it's just like the whole concept around people who record themselves crying makes absolutely zero sense to me, because like, what is the reason for you doing that? Like, oh, I actually think I look really pretty when I cry. Like, this isn't a movie, this is real life. Like, what are you even talking about right now? Like, these odd creatures will for real watch their ESPN sports analyst play-by-play of them having a mental breakdown in front of a camera because their boyfriend just cheated on them with her entire friend group. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. You better keep that video in some sort of secret time capsule vault, because if anybody gets a hold of that video, your life is over. You're cooked. Straight chopped cheese, fried chicken. And what's even worse are the people who actually post the videos of them having these mental breakdowns online, because that means you're just transcending the levels of corny, because you're actually sitting there posting these humiliation rituals to the public so you can gain a little bit of attention, views, and sympathy. Like, you reached a new level of low, because that means that these troglodytes really sat there on the verge of tears, set up the camera pre-cry on some Drew Wall's Target Run, and then proceeded to cry their eyes out on camera, getting the most emotion they can, and then got that video footage, edited that, and then never once in that process thought, you know what, maybe this isn't a good idea. Hell nah. They posted that immediately with no regrets. Oh yeah, it's over for you, bro. I don't even give a what happened for you to have this happen to you. All I know is that you deserved it. I don't give a damn.
All right, so first of all, every part that I was laughing at, I pretty much agree. First things first, hate is such a strong word. Like, get help. Secondly, it's not just women that are crying on here. Third, it is not everybody that is seeking attention, obviously, but the people that do record themselves, sit down, edit, make sure the angle's good and everything, that's wild to me. That is cringe. The lesser cringe is if you are already on live and you cry, but then someone argued that you can just edit that part out later and then post it again. You know what? It's a lot.
I don't know. I just think it's weird that people pick up the phone in the middle of them crying and post it on the internet. I feel like it's so performative. Do you know what I feel like is performative? Hiding the fact that you are struggling. Not talking to anybody that you are struggling. And I'm not saying that I feel like everybody has to post themselves crying on the internet, but for somebody who does cry on the internet, the reason why people do this is basically video journalism. Yes, we will be crying, and at the end of the cry, I do pick up my phone and I record it. And I save that video and I go back to that time and I'm like, wow, I was in such a dark place and I have come so far. Crying is a vulnerable moment. And I feel as if one of our biggest downfalls is thinking vulnerable moments have to stay in the house. There is so much love and compassion that comes from vulnerability, so stop putting other people down for doing it.
Maybe I didn't catch it, but she didn't say she posted. And I did go on her profile and I didn't find a video of her crying. Maybe I didn't look too far. Maybe she archived them. Whatever the situation is, it will always be cringe to me if it is the scenario where you edit and then post. That is weird to me. Also, I think a lot of people don't have another outlet besides social media, which is scary because that can come to bite you in the butt. Like I said before, digital footprint. You're putting any and everything online when that energy should be taken into telling your friend, telling your family, telling your therapist, telling your dog, I don't know, tell somebody, think twice or maybe 3 times before you post anything on social media, all right? Let's get into what Grandma Gizzard said in the community tab. Scenario number 1 is a human moment that is genuine and therefore recognized as real by the majority of viewers. Scenario number 2, emotional manipulation of an audience. And scenario number 3 is what the majority of pro-social media influencers probably do. Now, which is the best? It depends entirely on the person and the subject. Interesting question. This is probably the most fascinating question I've ever seen asked in a community post.
I just think it's so fucking weird how people have the audacity and the decorum to comment about what other people post on their personal social medias. Like, what the hell is wrong with people being vulnerable and showing their emotions? It's so weird to me. I will never understand it. Like, literally people act like shedding a tear on the internet is equal to like me popping my puss on here. Like, it makes no sense. Another one of the girls that I follow literally gets these same comments like, maybe you shouldn't be crying on the internet. Who the cares? I think it's weirder when somebody like tries so hard to meticulously like design their life online as social media to be like this big grandiose like delusion that their life is perfect and they're so wealthy and like da-da-da. That is weird. Like, be serious. I know your life's not like that. I know that everything's not perfect. I think that is so much more odd than me showing my tears on the internet. Sorry, I'm so much more comfortable with my emotions and my personal sense of self to spread it with the other strangers on the internet to make people feel less alone. What is the problem with that? So weird. Like, why are you weird? Go worry about your own self and articulating your fake Instagram content. Like, I don't understand it. At least I'm not staging my life.
So I'm going to disagree. I think the word real in this subject in particular is very subjective because what you may deem as real is what someone else may deem as cringe. And also, just because you are comfortable posting yourself crying, having meltdowns, and being vulnerable online doesn't mean the other person is. And the other person may be seeking counsel, maybe seeking therapy, and then just showcasing the good side of their lives. Now, it doesn't mean that these two people are better than the other. It just means that you guys see things differently, and that's just how it is in life. We're all not going to agree on the same thing, like I said, so that's just my opinion.
Unpopular opinion. Posting crying selfies is not raw and real. It's stupid and attention-seeking. I have never in my life started to cry and said, oh, hold on a minute, let me take a selfie, and then post it.
At Athena Christine Music said, scenario number one, it really depends. Like, if they're just talking about death or trauma and they cry without theatrics, that is okay. Everything else, bruh. At Jana Chanel said, it is a big no from me. I have a friend who literally does this and I just swipe past it every time. Oh man, you changing the entire game. You are the friend that I was talking about telling people to go to and you are tired of it. Now, if your friend would have just came to you, would that have been better? Or the fact that you know they're seeking attention? Is that what it is? You know they're seeking attention and you're just over and done with it? Do you talk to them? Or like, what? At the You Said It podcast said, it is definitely a no, because at the end of the day, if you have time to set up a tripod and lighting, you have time to figure out a solution to whatever the supposed issue is. I couldn't agree more. I will stand with you on that one. At MK Ultra said, hi, new subscriber here. I love your videos. Thank you. My opinion is that emotions are going to happen, and in a world where more and more of our lives are shared on the internet and social media, that raw emotion is going to come out from time to time. But deliberately pulling out the ring lights and tripod to have a complete meltdown, I think this is where a lot of people have issues. And monetize it is just strange to me. It's either a genius 5D chess move or it's playing with checkers and flipping the board upside down. I can't decide. At Zoogly Monster... As Zoogly Monster said, 3 is nothing bad at all. Man, your name is wild. Maybe they want to document what's happening. 1 is understandable if someone tells you awful news, harasses you about something really sensitive like the death of a loved one, or even just hurts your feelings on a day when it is a bad day. 2 is insane. Unless you're acting out a thing that happened, but that's acting. Now, should you end the live is different for each person. If it's just a few tears and sniffles, ask live to tell you something fun. If it is seriously bad news you got or you're sobbing, calm down, come back when you're better and explain. Now we have somebody that is extremely passionate about this entire subject. Let's get into it.
So I have been seeing a lot of videos online lately. They are going along the lines of, I think it's really cringy when people post videos of themselves crying on the internet. And I've seen quite a few variations of this. And here's what I have to say about it. I don't think it's cringy. At least most of the time, I don't think it's cringy. And here's why. Sadness is a normal human emotion. It is normal to cry. It is normal to have other feelings apart from crying. Yet, we are most uncomfortable with crying. And I believe the people who are making comments about others posting videos of themselves crying online are uncomfortable with themselves, and they are uncomfortable with crying in general. Sometimes you meet people in real life, when you try to cry to them, when you try to be vulnerable with them, they get very uncomfortable and they don't know how to respond to you. And some people are just not comfortable with crying. The other aspect to this is I believe there are people out there that don't have good support systems in their lives to be there for them, to be vulnerable with. And sometimes it's easier to be vulnerable with people online than it is to be vulnerable with people in real life. Oftentimes, people online come from a very unbiased perspective. They don't really know you. They don't really know everything about you, and they don't even know some of the people in your life. Whereas the people you know in person can come from a more biased place. They know other people around you, and unfortunately, the people in your life can't always be trusted. And being vulnerable and crying and showing your emotions is a very hard thing to do. I don't think it's wrong to cry online. At least it's not wrong to express it every once in a while. There are people that are excessively crying every single day and posting it online. I think there is a deeper issue there than we actually know about. But in general, it's okay to cry. And it's okay that other people choose to show themselves crying.
Sometimes I try not to interrupt a video, but pretty much what I was saying is they could simply get a therapist or get one online friend that they can communicate with. You don't have to always showcase all of your emotions online, because the one thing about the internet, which you didn't mention, is they can be brutal, okay? And they can be savages, they can be unhinged, and they do not care for you as much as you may think sometimes, depending on the situation. Because I have seen people crying and being vulnerable on the internet, and I click on the comment section and it is nothing but people roasting the person that is crying. So it's a 50-50 with having unbiased online people that won't judge you. They will judge you. They will slam you so hard you will archive that video in a heartbeat, okay? Let's not get that twisted. The internet can be your friend just as much as it can be your enemy in a split second, all right? I can finally snap from my last video. If you watched it, you will understand. I just can't do this one.
Yeah, like keep it off social media. Yeah. Keep like grieve in privacy. You know what you need? Call your therapist. Yeah. Because like it's not it.
I think you can cry online when it's valid. But when you're crying because like you and your boyfriend of like 8 months broke up, it's like, okay. Because I've cried online. I mean, I've cried in our YouTube videos before. But like somebody close to me died. Like, it's a little different. You know what I mean?
It wasn't a grasp of that person's attention.
Right. Well,
like,
obviously.
R.I.P. That was so... I was going to make that comment. I was going to be like, well, because they were dead. But then I was like...
But I did it instead.
Okay, that's right. I was waiting for you to take the burden off of your shoulders. Okay, because I wanted to say
it. You teed it up, and I...
Literally, we both saw. I looked at you. I was like,
I said, it's okay. You can make that joke.
But anyway.
But I did it for you.
It was definitely cringe. So we're just going to act like it never happened and let's keep going.
TikTok keeps eating my video on this. Listen, I keep seeing people being really disparaging about crying on the internet on my FYP. And I want to drop a little bit of a theory, okay? It's my personal theory about crying on the internet. Rather than it being disingenuous and just a bid for attention, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with needing attention. Not a single thing on planet Earth is wrong with needing attention. All human beings need attention. Everything you have done on social media ever has been for attention. There's no other reason to do it at all. So besides that, this comes down to dispersion theory. If I get overwhelmed and stressed and chaotic and angry and frustrated and the tears start coming, which they do, I have a choice to call my mom or a close friend or my husband or somebody like that and dump all of this on that one person. And now they're carrying a burden for me. I am now a burden to them in that moment. At least that's how it feels to me. And maybe that's not true. That's very much, I don't think that they would even say that that is. But I have, issues from a lifetime of mental health problems and anxiety and being an only child and being raised evangelical and having ADHD. I don't know why. But I have a feeling that most people that you see crying on the internet, including myself, and it's not like the platform that I have, it's just the most viral video I ever posted on TikTok is a 15-second clip of me crying. So I have some experience with this because like 3 million people watch that. So, but when you do that, to me, and I suspect a lot of other people, what you're doing is dispersing those emotions so that little bits of responsibility fall on hundreds or thousands of people, instead of like, again, feeling like I'm a burden to these people that I love. If you see me post a Facebook status, right, where I'm like, I'm having a really hard time, everything's awful, I don't even want to get out of bed anymore, I'm so frustrated, what you feel as my like, you know, parasocial social media friend, whatever, is like a comment, is an appropriate thing to do, right?
I know she used the word burden, but I'm just gonna say crying. How is it okay to cry, or how is it normal, or how does it feel better? Why am I talking a lot there? How does it feel better to cry to 100 to 1,000,000 people than it does to cry to one? Riddle me that, because I'm confused.
Fine, or you might be in solidarity. I know I've been having the roughest month too, like we're gonna get through this. And that is the level of responsibility that you feel. Now, I'm collecting these little bits of responsibility back in social media form, which means I'm seeing, you know, 25, 30, 50, 100, 1,000 people give me these little moments. And that actually does, it's like very healing. It's like putting these little, you know, pieces in a puzzle or something. I don't have to feel guilty about it. If I call my mother in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon and I'm bawling openly as a 41-year-old woman, and I know in my head she's been dealing with me and my mental health issues for decades at this point and has made it very clear that it's gotten old, I don't, you know, feel comfortable with that anymore. And sometimes I don't want to do that to my husband because he's had a long day. I don't have a lot of super close friends. And like, I struggle to be open and transparent and authentic in my emotions with people that I care about because I don't want to be seen as a burden.
I have a perfect solution for this. In the beginning, I understood her as saying that it is nice to get different opinions from people. You know, it helps you think in a certain way. But at the end of the day, it's now looking like you should just get a therapist.
Overly emotional content like crying on the internet. What I'm doing is dispersing it. I'm like spraying it out of a sprinkler, basically, so that just a little bit lands on all these people that I barely know and don't have a lot of responsibility to me outside of maybe a little comment or like a little hug emoji or like a heart comment or something like that. That's my personal theory about why it is so easy, accessible, and appealing for a lot of us to go on the internet with our emotions, as opposed to it just being like inauthentic or needy or like, you know, you just want somebody to blow up your Cash App or something. So I don't know if this resonates with literally anybody, please let me know. If you come from a place of like a long history of mental health issues and you have come to the place where you feel like you're a burden on people, is this a tool that you have ever used? Yeah, it's just, no one's going to see this probably because I selected the 10-minute option, but it's been rattling around in my brain and I'm just kind of tired of seeing the discourse without the perspective of somebody else on the side of the crier being like, this might explain some of the issues that you're having with us. Anyways.
I guess this all just comes down to who you are, how you see life, and exactly what you want to do online. There's no stopping you. Live your best life. Regardless of what I said, let me know in the comment section below if you understood her differently or if you can relate to her. Whatever the case is, it is her opinion. That is how she sees it. And you know what? I respect it. And if you have your own opinion, I respect that as well. At DD Modesty8667 said, I feel like some people just don't have any support system and nobody they can confide in. That's only a few, by the way. Now, for the other 99% of people, it is 100% for some type of attention. And Ellie Neal 8219 said, 3 is fine as you are keeping it to yourself. If you need to do it to regulate your emotions and whatever, fine, just keep it to yourself. 1 is it depends on the reason as well as the length of your crying. And 2 is a no. Why are you like this? No one needs to see this, and I don't know why you think a bunch of strangers care. One of my favorite and to the point comments is from @MarieB Sleeping. 1, fine. 2, cringe. And 3, less cringe. So I think at the end of the day, crying online is just another way people express themselves in our super connected world. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. But it is definitely a wild ride to see how many people are turning their tears into content. Whether it is staged, camera ready cry, a live breakdown, or a post-cry selfie, there's no denying that crying online has become part of our digital culture. So next time you see someone getting emotional on their feed, maybe take a little second to think about what's really going on. Are they sharing a vulnerable moment? Are they seeking connection? Are they seeking attention? Or are they just really committed to getting those perfect dramatic tears? Whatever the case is, please let us all just remember it is okay to cry. Whether you're in the privacy of your own home or in front of 1,000 of viewers, I guess. It just depends on who you are. And hey, if you ever feel the need to shed a tear or maybe even two, don't forget to make sure that lighting is on point. And now for the video that is living rent-free in my head, that is very disturbing, and it is one of the reasons why I even asked this on my community tab. Let's check it out.
Be part of our family. So if you could pray for us, we appreciate it. I love you guys. Bye. Come here. Come closer for the video. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Put your head right here. Come closer. Closer. Down. Put your head down here. Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video. Go like this. Put one hand up. Go like this. No, go like this. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth. Let them see your mouth.
No, Mom, I'm actually crying.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
I'm actually crying.
I know. Look at me. Look at me. Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Now that was the video that lives rent-free, and I know some of y'all will probably see this and be like, oh my goodness, it's old. But you know what? It comes back to the digital footprint I was telling you guys. It will always come back to haunt you. Whether you apologize and you and your community have moved on, it will always come back to bite you in the butt, unfortunately. And it lives rent-free in my head. I just can't stop thinking about it sometimes. So let me know what you guys think of this entire conversation, and I will see you guys on the next one.